Good evening and welcome to the Posthumous Poetry Series Part 20. I can't believe this is the 20th week of this series, and I gotta say I'm kind of happy with what's happening. I'm on a mini vacation, so if I seem a little goofier than usual, that's part of the reason. It's still National Poetry Month, and all over the country people are doing their Poetry Month things. Even in Pittsburgh, they are doing this. I think we have the coolest gig of them all, so that's fine by me. You know, one of the things that has inspired me, people don't want to talk about that much anymore, people being inspired, or if they do, they have such trite inspirations, but the poet John Berryman, who was quite famous in the 60s, he came out of that mediocre group of poets of Richard Wilbur and those kind of poet tasters, as they say. John was a stone drunk and alcoholic. He wrote some very good poetry, and like I said, did have a moment in America where was very famous. He got Pulitzers, and he was in like Life magazine and things like that, so he was very popular. Jumped off a bridge one day and killed himself, but his generation of poets were alcoholics and suicides because they had no spiritual grounding. They were caught in the cul-de-sac of Western thought, and they couldn't get out of it, and death was the only way to do it. But John did say something cool. John said something that I always carried with me, and I think that it's the keynote to our series also. And John said that the important thing is that your work be something that no one else could do. And for me, that's always been the litmus. I've said this before, American poetry is very well written, but it's very homogeneous, and it's very undistinguishable one poet from another in terms of content, style, themes, that kind of stuff. So, having said that, tonight's poem, it's still National Poetry Month, and this poem is about one of the great American poets, Charles Bukowski. And Charles was a great poet for a lot of reasons. He was an American success also because he scrambled his way to the top where he actually became a very well-published poet throughout the world, and also was a financial success. I mean, you start out with Bukowski, and he's driving a beater of a Volkswagen through Los Angeles, trying to get to his jobs and his girlfriends, and by the end of his life, he's tooling around Los Angeles, living in very nice neighborhoods, and driving a Beamer to the racetrack. So that's a beautiful thing. So this poem is about him. It's in three voices, three persons, if you remember your English class. First person, Bukowski speaking to us. Second person, me speaking to Bukowski. Third person, me speaking about Bukowski. And also, too, in addition to being a poet, Charles was a novelist, a very good novelist, a very funny novelist, a very great, easy novels, and so when he worked at shitty jobs, he wrote a book called Factotum. He wrote Hollywood about his making of the movie Barfly. He wrote, other books. When he worked at the post office, he wrote Post Office, that kind of stuff. So I reference those things in the poem. It's a really nice poem. I will say one thing about this poem, and I'll read it because I don't want to ramble on too much longer, but this poem really has one of the great endings that I've ever written. And that's all I'm going to say about this. Oh, the title, yeah. My imps' names are ILLEMAUZAR and PYEWACKETT. There was a wood carving I saw one day of the good people torturing somebody who they believed was possessed, and you could see a little conversation box coming out of this guy being tortured. God knows what they were doing to him, and he's saying my imps' names are ILLEMAUZAR and PYEWACKETT. Same here. He was a great poet. I remember eating chili at the New College Diner in State College, PA, reading Bukowski. I don't remember how I came to know his poetry. Imagine, at 13, he began drinking. It was magic, he said. He was considered too antisocial for the army, not to live in Philadelphia. At 26, he decided to give up writing and concentrate on drinking. At 35, he was in the USC Medical Center dying, but didn't. He started writing again, this time poetry. 1,000 poems, 32 books of poetry. He wrote vile and interesting stuff that made people hate me. I threw people off my porch into the night. I sneered at hippies. I was in and out of drunk tanks. A lady accused me of rape. He was a dishwasher, truck driver, guard, gas station attendant, shipping clerk, parking attendant, elevator operator, worker in dog, biscuit, cake, cookie factories, wrote factotum. Worked as a mail sorter for years at the Terminal Annex in downtown Los Angeles, wrote post office. He was a poet of the desert. He wrote for Hustler magazine, 2 million books in print. He knew Faye Dunaway and Mickey Rourke. Sean Penn was his friend. He wrote Hollywood. He went from hard liquor to red wine and vitamins. He was a success, not like, say, J.P. Kellogg, M.D., who invented cornflakes and believed in the existence of an evil masturbation epidemic. My wine does most of my writing. I just open a bottle and turn on a radio. It just comes pouring out. I only type every third night. I have no plan. I sit down. The typewriter gives me things I don't know I'm working on. It's a free lunch, a free dinner. I don't know how long it's going to continue, but so far, there's nothing easier than writing. If I die, I hope to go with my head on that typewriter. It's my battlefield. He worked till the end, 73. Fernando Rey, who died the same day, said Buñuel always wanted him to play Dirty Old Men. A friend of yours, Robert Burton, gave me your address. I never wrote. Look up a guy named Chaz Hajduk, a friend of mine. He read Ulysses and knew poetry. He'd be a good drinking buddy. The streets should be filled with Buddhists chanting mantras resurrected by Tertons. On every stage, a naked woman pukes into the piano. Closing the lid, mounts a blue horse. Post time at the end of the rainbow. You, who rode with Neil Cassidy 2 days before his death. I no longer mourn the dead. It is the dead who mourn for us.